Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us, hanging out, craft beer conversations, all of the usual fun antics that we are known for. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how's it going?
It's going. It's
Yeah,
been quite a day. I have earned my beer today. It's been a lot of effort to make it through, and I
I
am
feel
here.
that, man.
Man, beer is drinking real good right now.
Yeah,
This beer drinks pretty good, don't it?
this beer drink's pretty good. We were talking just before we got on the air, and last night was a night for not sleeping well. I think
Yes.
and I guess, it has to be climatic. I was going to say climactic. That's not it has to be impacted by the weather, I'm sure. And as we're both elderly gentlemen now, Brian.
Yeah.
So
It could be pollution too. I mean,
it could
maybe
be.
it's changes in temperature or kicking up
Yeah.
extra pollen, extra dust, or I don't know.
But I've noticed that a lot of
Uh,
times I'll be like, I didn't sleep well, and they're like, oh, me either. Or it's I've also noticed, interestingly, that happens with terrible drivers. It's like there
oh,
just happens to be some times where everybody's cutting people off and driving like maniacs. It's just I don't know, man. Something with Mercury retrograding anus or Uranus or
anus,
something.
yes. Yeah.
Possibly both.
I was going to say,
Possibly
somebody
both.
sounds the horn and all the worst, horrible
Yeah.
sociopathic drivers hit the road and it goes
Right.
someplace.
Which
Yeah.
actually amplifies my belief in werewolves a little bit. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see. Nate, how'd you sleep?
I also slept not
See,
great,
there we go.
and
It's
and my
everybody.
response to how am I doing is similar to Brian's responses. I actually wasn't even going to drink today,
At least there's
and
beer.
I had a day, so at least there's beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's called for more than others. Well,
Tim, besides not sleeping well, how
yeah.
are you?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Brian said he had a day at work today. I had a day at work yesterday. My day at work today wasn't too bad, but just one of those days where nothing goes right. You work your tail off all day, but you don't accomplish anything. And those are just they're exhausting. They're exhausting. They happen every now and then.
Those are
But
rough.
yeah. But I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Well, guys, let's talk about beer. Brian, what are your beers for this week?
Yeah, so I pre-gamed. I had other thoughts about what I was going to do for my pre-game, but then I saw a cold Bierstadt Lagerhaus in the fridge and slow pour pills, and I couldn't resist. It's a beautiful German pilsner. So I had that getting ready for the show, and now I'm drinking what started out as a collaboration between Finback and Hackney Brewery, which is out of London, I believe. It's called Aqualung, and I cue the Jethro Tull
Jethro
references.
Tull. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I got it, but also like seeing a 4-pack of Finback on the shelves here in Georgia. I'm like, well, yes, I'm going to buy that. Of course, I'm going to. But it's a double New England IPA with Mosaic, Idaho Gem, and Azaka hops. So I'm drinking it right now. It's quite nice indeed. And for the after party, I'm going to crack into a can of Old Nation's My. It looks like me, but it's my. That is a triple New England IPA, so I'm stepping it up a notch in the after party there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into that. But that's it for me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Nate, what's on deck for you, man?
So, meaning that I wasn't going to drink any tonight, I actually went to my local store and saw some non-alcoholic options that I wanted to try. And so, in my glass right now from Heineken is a variant of their 0.0, and this is Nectarine Juniper. So, as it might suggest, there is nectarine and juniper in this lager, and right now it's tasting really nice. It's got a little bit of that like citrusy flavor coming through because of the nectarine, and the juniper is there, but you kind of have to like look for it. But this is going to be really refreshing. And then on deck from Great Heart Brewing, I've got their House Helles, which is a Helles lager.
Very cool, man. Talking about juniper, that's one of those things like you said, it's there, but you got to kind of look for it. That is definitely one of those things that I prefer like that, like spruce tips or the bitter piney. I want notes of it there. Like I want to know it's hanging out, but it gets heavy duty. So that sounds pretty good. Guys, I was going to throw this out. We talked last week and I'd forgot the terminology for this. We talked about non-alcoholic beverages. that had like vitamins and different things in them, electrolytes. They're called functional beverages.
Functional, yeah,
Functional
yeah.
beverages. But just coincidentally, right after we talked about that, I got an email from Zach over at 10 Barrel, or from one of their PR companies, and they're launching a couple of RTDs that are functional beverages. And one here they've got is called Salty Suds. It's a watermelon refresher. And the other one, let me look real quick, it's called Clean Slate. And Clean Slate is I can't quite make out the text. I'm looking at my email here, guys, and I can't my picture is not quite big enough here. It is a non-alcoholic beverage. I see guarana and ginseng, vitamin B blend. There's caffeine in there, some fruit juice, lion's mane, mushrooms. So there's some
Oh,
this beverage. And then they say some kind of fancy sea salt, Oregon Coast sea salt in there.
that makes sense
So,
from 10 Barrel because I think they're
yeah,
officially based out of Portland.
right. But
Yeah.
cheers to them. They're not here yet, but they are sending us a couple of samples. So we'll get to see, what those are about. But yeah, functional beverages out there. I'm kind of curious with people toning down, and depending on the week, people toning down their drinking of alcoholic beverages. If stuff like that, like the mocktail kind of stuff, is going to become more popular because people still want to have a drink. When you go out, you get a mocktail, you get something like that. So we've got I forget the name of it, but here where I live in the Atlanta suburbs, we have a non-alcoholic bar here, and I think it's a pop-up thing, like in a trailer or something. But they set it up downtown at events and that, and they do non-alcoholic cocktails. And Brian, Nate, I'm not sure if you're around during this period. This may have been pre-Nate period of Beer Guys Radio. But Brian and I were early adopters to checking out non-alcoholic beers, and we got grief from people. I mean, people would tell us, what are the beer guys doing drinking non-alcoholic beers? And that, I think it's become much more widely accepted, even by people who drink, alcoholic beers. Maybe you can work one in. There's still people that say, hey, it's just not the same, that. But with some of these craft breweries getting into it, Brian, in the 8 or 10 years that we've been exploring the different non-alcoholic beverages, I'd say the quality has gone up substantially in that time. Definitely the availability.
For sure. And I actually, it's not, I didn't really include it in our notes for the show, but I read an Esquire article this week about somebody talking about getting into a non-alcoholic beer at work, feeling naughty about it, and then finding it's like incredibly enjoyable to drink that at work, like in the afternoon or whatever. Like it scratched a particular itch that beer will scratch without doing the alcohol, and they stayed sharp and on the job, and ended up writing an article about it. And I've done the same thing. There's been a couple of times where I'll have a non-alcoholic beer in the fridge. I don't have a lot of them. I don't drink them a lot, but I enjoy them. I've had them at lunch, and I was like, this is cool. This feels naughty, and it does scratch a particular itch. It actually kind of makes you relax a little bit because your body's like, oh, I taste beer. It's relaxation time. So you get a little bit of that because you've kind of trained yourself that
a little classically conditioned there, huh?
Exactly. And then you get back to work, and there's really no downside to it other than it's got more calories than, like water or a diet soda. Yes. I mean, that technically is a downside.
But if someone were to grab a Red Bull or a soda or something like that, you're looking at the same thing there. So
true.
What do you guys think of the functional beverages? Like, you think about a non-alcoholic RTD, they really don't have to do anything there. I mean, this could just basically be a fruit juice cocktail kind of thing. With this, and here, I'll tell you this: Salty Sips. Here's the press info on it: crisp, balanced, and ridiculously crushable. Salty Sips is an easy drinking refresher that blends premium vodka. Wait a minute, I thought we were non-alcoholic here, so maybe the other one is.
Vodka?
Let me see. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. Clean Slate isn't. So it looks like we go both directions here. So my apologies, but the Clean Slate one, I don't see where it has any. It's non-functional. The Salty Sips is non-functional. It looks
non-functional. Got it.
It looks like it's just an RTD. But the other one, it says curated for non-alcoholic lovers, DDs, and anyone in need of a pick-me-up. Clean Slate introduces the functional cocktail to RTD lineup. It's served with a boost, lion's mane for focus, guarana and ginseng for energy, Oregon Coast sea salt for hydration, and as much caffeine as a regular cup of coffee. Made with real grape juice, real lime juice, and ginger extract, Clean Slate gets you back in the saddle when you need it most. So, what do you guys think of something like that? Is there a time when you think that would be something that would be called for? I mean, I know we'd all drink it if it was around to see what it was about, but
Sure.
is that anything that you think would fit into your drinking regimen?
So, yeah, with the caffeine, my thought with that is it's the same reason I don't drink tea more often. Is I got coffee and I love coffee. I really do. I like the concept of things with caffeine, and I like the idea of lion's mane. In fact, I take lion's mane as a supplement. I think there is something to that. I don't know how well it actually comes across the benefits in these beverages. I don't know if you really get the benefit from it or not, or if it's more just kind of a talking point, but I like it conceptually. So I would drink it, and I think they nailed it with the idea of the designated driver, or if you need to drive late, and I'm not, going to get a cup of coffee late at night usually, maybe that's a right time. Like I'm driving, it's a long day. I'd grab one of those and drink that because it's got all the vitamins, the B vitamins, it's got the guarana, it's got all that stuff. So I see that being a driving beverage more than anything else.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have a good coffee option around. And when you're driving, a lot of times you're stuck with whatever the truck stop has, and that is not really a good thing. So
yeah, I got you. And or maybe it's hanging out at the lake during the week and you don't drink for whatever reason,
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
you're like, hey, give me a little pick me up, a little boost of caffeine. The only thing with that is you wouldn't want to crush like a 4 or 6 pack of them because that's a ton of caffeine, and maybe
True.
so I couldn't handle that. I'll tell you, I'm a couple cups of coffee a day kind of guy, but you wouldn't want to be slamming that back. And I think ginseng and guarana as well, you don't want to have large doses of those. So
Probably not. These are a one and done type of beverage. So you'd switch over to something else.
Right. How about you, Nate? What do you think of them?
So I've had them in the past. My company used to be a distributor, and now we just make THC beverages. But when we were distributing, we also had functional beverages included in our portfolio, and they sold well in the market. There's a lot of people who may not be pulling away just from alcohol, but pulling away from beer entirely as a category, but they still want to have something that is fun and exciting to crack open and feel like they're still part of the crowd as their friends are drinking a couple of craft beers or whatever. So there's definitely a market out there for it. Is it a big one? Not really, but
right. Yeah.
I would try the Clean Slate. I was a little shocked to see the caffeine component in it because, like Brian, there's going to be a lot of people out there who will say, well, because there's caffeine, I'm going to shy away from consuming this one in particular. But I would try it.
Yeah. The caffeine for me too. That would be something like if it. But I mean, that's obviously the category they're going for with it. I guess get you a little pick me up. So because it talks about focus and all that. Maybe it's a lunchtime beverage, Brian. Maybe it's something you need to. You know what? I got to go into the second half of the day. I need a little kick here. Boom. Let's get some salty sips in our life.
There can be a time of the day where the coffee's no longer the play. I think that I hit it mid-afternoon, like coffee is kind of played out. I'm like, all right, I've kind of gone as far as I need to go with this particular beverage. Something else, switching it up might be a good call at that point.
Yeah,
but I don't know if caffeine's the right call at that time or not. But maybe it is.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff, guys. Well, moving along, getting into some of our beer stories here. Brian, we have some shots fired in the apple flavored beer world. So maybe, we wouldn't have expected this, but there's some drama in Bapples.
Yes, it's the most amusing kind of drama here. Yes, shots fired at the Macro McRib. And of course, I'm talking about Busch Light Apple. Just when you thought apple beers or light apple beers were over until the next predictable release, probably around this time next year, Keystone Light comes out guns blazing with, and this is a quote, the most American light apple beer in America. Molson Coors owns Keystone Light, and you know they've been watching the crazy hype every release of Bapple generates, and it's kind of a little surprising it's taken them this long to get in on the action. And their timing is actually really good with this when you think about it. 15 packs of Keystone Light Apple are expected to arrive at retailers nationwide just before Memorial Day. And their advertising for this is comically over-the-top, crazy Americana. Think like monster trucks, screeching bald eagles wearing sunglasses, and American flag bandanas, and lots of pyrotechnics. It's amazing.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah, indeed. But most importantly, the last cases of Bapple will be long gone by that point. I'm thinking the people who enjoy Bapple are going to be happy to have a replacement in time for Memorial Day barbecues and backyard, fiestas there. I don't think they're going to care that it isn't Busch Light. I don't think that's the big selling point there, as long as it's a decent beer or acceptably close to what they're expecting anyway. I just wonder who's going to get on board the Apple train next year, or I don't know, later this year. Are we going to see a Corona Light Apple or an Amstel Light Apple? I kind of don't think we've seen the end of this, and I think that the McRib part of it,
beers.
Yeah, I think the McRib part of it may be ruined because everybody else is going to try to get in on it. But yeah, I think that we're going to see some other stuff here.
Wasn't there a Bud Light Apple at one point?
Yeah, I think there was. There was.
So we've got Bud Light, Busch Light. Now we've got Keystone Light entering the party here. I don't know if anybody else has done them before. I remember, you know what? I think I remember when the Bud Light Apple came out, that people were talking about that it would not go over well because most people consider Apple a bad an off flavor in beer. So they were talking about, I don't know about this, man. Most people will try that and think, that's not right. What is it?
Acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde, right?
Yeah.
Gives you the green apple. And we got Zach West here says Miller Coors has red Apple Ale.
I remember that now.
Red Apple Ale. So
now that I see that,
well. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: beer geeks will think that, but the average there's also cider out there. People enjoy cider. It's very popular these days. I think that people that are drinking Busch Light aren't going to think acetaldehyde. They're going to think, "Oh, hey, cool! This beer tastes like apples. I love that."
Yeah,
so I think that it's not going to be as negative a thing. Obviously, it's not as negative a thing as people might have predicted it would be. But we're talking about the macro McRib here, not the craft McRib. So
yeah, and I mean, you even got like Graf out there that is intentionally bringing cider and beer together.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that may have been some overhype there. Maybe just someone that was thinking purist with beer and that. But
I think so.
Yeah, what were those natural light ones that we had, Brian? That was I think it was like a pink lemonade flavor or something like that.
I'd forgotten about
they
that.
They had a summer of heat there. So I forget what they
did, and we tried a few of them. I forgot they had a whole rainbow of interesting flavors.
Natter Days.
Yeah.
That's it. Natter Days. Yeah.
Natter Days.
Zach.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's we went down to Tallahassee with our friends at WVFT down there when we were on the station down there to the SGI Brewfest. And we had I remember there was a case of Natter Days there. Greg Tish, who is the morning show host with WVFT, he was a big fan of those. And I remember I enjoyed them, man. Sitting out there on the on the coast with the salty sea air and having Natter Days. It was I was down with it. I had no issue.
Oh, that's right. That was strawberry lemonade. That's a very drinkable beverage. I'm actually, I don't know if that's still a thing or if it's very popular. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Yeah.
Natter Days. That was fun, man. I don't know if they're still around or not either, but that was fun.
They had a pineapple lemonade one that I see, a red, white, and blueberry, which I think is probably like a rocket pop version of it. I'm just looking in Untapped to see what they got. Pineapple lemonade, strawberry lemonade. Yeah, it looks like they had 3 varieties, and I'm not sure when they all came out, but I haven't seen any of these in a while, and I don't know why they wouldn't take off, honestly, because it seems like the people drinking beer right now are primed for this kind of thing.
They're 15 minutes. Maybe, sometimes things come along before they're due for their day in the sun, and that messes them up.
It would be a perfect time right now for an apple natter days.
Perfect day for a natter day.
That's right.
Good stuff. Well, Brian, Yoko Ono is in the, amazingly enough, the beer news this week. Something I didn't expect. I know that for sure. But it seems that Yoko has an issue with something that a brewery did.
Yeah. So this week we learned about another thing that Yoko Ono doesn't have: a sense of humor. A tiny two-person brewery in Brittany, France, just got hit with a cease and desist order from Yoko Ono, the widow of the late, Beatles founder John Lennon. She threatened to hit them with €100,000 or about $118,000 penalty if they didn't stop selling a particular beer, followed by an additional €1,500 penalty each day the beer is not delisted. The beer in question is the brewery's best-selling John Lemon, as in the lemon fruit, Get Bock, as in the Bock beer. It's not a Bock, but it's described as a lemon and ginger flavored craft beer and listed on Untapped as a blonde/golden ale. So, yeah, just an easy drinking. It fits right in with the kind of beers we're talking about. The beer's been around for like 5 years, and the owner thought the C&D was a scam, honestly, because I don't think you can even find their beer more than 50 miles away from the brewery. They're very small and only serving the local eateries and things like that. An agreement was reached with Old Screechy Pants that allowed the brewery to sell the remaining 5,000 bottle stock before July 1st. And that turned out to be not much of a challenge. As soon as the news broke, the bottles immediately became a collector's item and sold out almost immediately. So, yeah, the beer isn't going away. It's just getting a generic rebrand. It's now simply called Lemon Ginger Blonde Beer. But yeah, this isn't the first time Yoko's legal team has gone after this specific pun in a name of a product. They shut down a Polish lemonade brand for using the exact same name back in 2017. It's amazing. She's 93 years old right now, and she's still out there ruining things for people. That's longevity. I hope I could be ruining things for people, half that long,
I aspire to be that nasty and that old.
For that long. Yeah, it's incredible.
I'm kind of surprised that the brewery didn't take the opportunity to do something fun with the rename. That sounds like that would have been a good, especially if they're just going to call it Lemon Ginger Blonde Beer.
Yeah. Well, there was something in there that they did something this is in France. And so they were going to come up with a pun that worked in a French word for, I think, yellow, that was similar to John. I don't know the exact word they were going to use, but the legal team was like, no, you're not doing that. No. They basically wanted no reference, no possible reference at all.
Huh?
Which it's weird, and I'm guessing, and they're not the only ones that do this. If you look at Untapped, there are other John Lemon beers out there and other things. I think it's just a matter of she can't sue people in the U.S. for this kind of thing because it's satire, but apparently she can sue people in various parts of Europe and get away with it. But yeah, she just basically crushed this little operation here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they survived. Yeah,
that was my question. I was like, I didn't think, because we see breweries over here all the time that do stuff that's definitely riffing on other things.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think unless you're intentionally, I know we had one time. I think it was Bearded Iris. Maybe was it called Waffle Time, or remember?
Yes, yeah.
So, and the label of the beer had a sign that it was designed to look like Waffle House.
Yeah.
So, and I think they did get there. They flew too close to the sun with that one, and they got in trouble for it.
They did get in trouble, I think, with the visual similarities. This beer. If you look at the art, somebody drew a picture of somebody that looks kind of like John Lennon, and he's got lemon slices over his eyes. And there's nothing about it that makes you think that this is really an official Beatles product, or it has anything to do with John Lennon or his estate. Like, it's obviously a tribute, and they even said it's just. We're having fun with this. We've done this with other celebrities. It's not meant to be disrespectful. And most people don't care, but then you got.
Some go very hard at the spoof names and that, whether it's other beer brands or cartoon characters, cereal brands or whatever. Some people make it pretty obvious there. I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a little more throwback, blowback on that. But I think one of the things it is in the U.S. is a lot of times when they do that, they're limited run and they're like sold at the
Yes.
brewery. So it's not like if they were to get a cease and desist, it's like, you know what? Schoolhouse, our friends at Schoolhouse Beer, they do a lot of beers like that. But all of their beers are one run beers. They never brew the same beer twice. So by the time anything came of it, it would be gone.
And they're never for sale outside of the brewery
Right.
either. Yeah, there's some of them that like, okay, you are really you're creeping on some intellectual
Yeah.
property here. That's a fair point, and at that point, people do get taken to court at times over intellectual property because you've gone too far. But yeah, in this case, like
Gone
nobody.
too far.
This was never. They're available in maybe a radius of like 50 miles, square
Right.
miles, and nobody
Yeah.
would have ever thought anything about this being in any way related to the Beatles or John Lennon. But some people just can't let other people have any fun. So that's what this is all about.
Some people are not about that at all. Nope.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, before we move ahead, how about we give a shout out to our friends at Truck and Tap?
That's a good idea. I'd like to talk about the incredible beer variety at Truck and Tap, from the newest, freshest IPAs to the big, crazy pastry stouts and everything in between. But if you're in the mood for just a good old drinking beer, nothing fancy, Truck and Tap has you covered there too. You can get a pour of Monday night's 404 Light Lager, Pacifico Clara, or Guinness at any location you stop by this week. I know, I checked all of them. I cross-referenced all the lists. And as a bonus, a few of them even have Jenny Cream, which is a very solid option if you're looking for a drinking beer. Does that mean they're shortchanging us on unique and special craft beer offerings? No, not at all. I can prove it in my Truck and Tap beer picks for this week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with hazelnut coffee and cakes from Hubbard's Cave. With a name like that, you know it's going to be just a great pastry stout. And you're right, it absolutely is. It features Sputnik coffee, which is, I believe, a roaster out of Chicago, hazelnuts and maple syrup, and it's a petite 12% ABV, and I think the booziest thing on any of the Truck and Tap lists right now. I've had this one before, and it definitely delivers on the coffee and pancakes it promises. I checked it in, I went and read it, and I love my check-ins for this, but I said it sounded like, it tastes like getting hammered at a diner. That's what I said.
Okay.
Because
All
it
right.
delivers on the diner feel, and also you feel like you're getting hammered. But anyway, it's boozy. Go easy on that one, guys. At the Duluth location, I'm getting Foam Brewers Built to Spill. It's a New England IPA with hoppy notes of citrus, pineapple, and tangerine. Yeah, that sounds really nice. And I'm not about to pass up a rare opportunity to get a foam beer on tap here in Georgia. We don't see that very often. At Truck and Tap Alfredo, my pick is Reformation's Pills of Dreams on the side pull tap. We've established my love of the side pull tap, but it's been a long time since I've had a German Pilsner from Reformation. And this is an interesting one. They describe it as crisp and clean, but they also rested it on oak to give it a touch of depth. So I like what I'm hearing. I've had other lagers that have been sitting on oak before, and that's had good results. So I like this idea. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with Fudgy Grams from Weldworks. Fudgy Grams is an imperial milk stout that's brewed with chocolate fudge, which is a surprise given the name, vanilla, graham crackers, and of course lactose because it is a milk stout. Yes, I'll take a pill. The idea with this beer seems to be a liquid recreation of Keebler Deluxe Grams, which are a fudge-covered graham cracker cookie type of thing. I'm in. I don't think I've ever had these before. Have you had them, Tim?
The cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Keebler
Yeah.
Deluxe Grams.
Like as soon as you mentioned the name of the beer, I'm like, oh, I remember those cookies. I haven't had those in forever. But yes, I have had them.
I wonder, are they still around? I need to find
Yeah,
them because
yeah,
they sound good.
Yeah, they're shaped like little elves, Brian. Little chocolate covered graham elves.
Oh, great. All right. So, yes, I'm definitely getting the beer, and then I'm going to go find the cookies and try those out, too. And there you have my beer picks for the week. Get out there and have a beer or two. As always, if you'd like to see the full tap list before stopping by, take a look at truckandtap.com. The taps change quickly, and you never know what great new beer might go on and which of these might disappear because they're great. People really enjoy them. And if you'd like to know what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, trivia, karaoke, live music, festivals, various walking tours with beer, that kind of thing, you can find that at truckandtap.com. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com, so check it out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. We always appreciate it. Well, Brian, beer is tough all around. You know what? Before I jump into this, we saw a couple of articles this week some sunshine. And you know what? Let me see. Let me make sure you didn't add any of these in. Okay, there is one, so I won't spoil your story here, Brian. But I will say that later on, although we have some negativity here, a couple positive stories in craft beer. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear that. So, but on this one, in the UK, they're struggling over there just as well as we are, and their pubs are actually closing at an extremely high rate.
Yeah, this surprised me. We hear about closures and things like that, and I don't like to focus on doom and gloom, but this is kind of big. It's pretty bad over there in the UK. They're seeing a massive spike in pub closures. In the first 3 months of 2026, 161 pubs have shut down, which maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but that works out to like 2 a day, which is kind of a crazy stat. The indications are pub closures are accelerating as well. Compared to the same time last year, the closure rate has jumped by 26%. And if we go back a little further, since 2020, over 2,200 pubs have disappeared from the map across the UK. And that's not just a problem with people losing a place to grab a pint. Closures so far this year have cost 2,400 jobs. And a lot of those jobs are going to young people, workers between the age of 16 and 24. One of the big complaints is the tax man problem. For every £3 in currency, British pounds, sterling, whatever, somebody spends at a pub, for every £3 they spend, £1 goes straight to taxes. It's making it difficult for owners to actually make any money. Margins are razor thin, with pubs actually keeping about 3% of the pounds spent in the pub. So everything but 3% is going out the door. So that's what they're
wild.
hanging on to. Yeah, can you even operate a business on 3%?
Obviously not with as many that are closing. It doesn't sound like it.
It's wild. But at the same time, there was a recent article whose headline heralded the sighting of the very first 10-pound pint in London at some pub. That's about $13.54 for a pint. And we're not talking about an entertainment venue here or a sporting event. We're talking about just some pub in London somewhere, probably in a nice part of London. But it's bad enough that a 15% relief on business tax rates for pubs went into effect in April, and it will be followed by a 2-year freeze on those rates. But the beer industry there is making it clear that this temporary relief measure isn't going to cut it. I'm like, that's great for the short period of time it's in place, but what do they do next? So we'll see what happens next, but it's not looking good. At a certain point, you just can't tax them anymore because they'll be out of business. You know?
Yeah. And you hear something about that 10-pound pint, and first a 10-pound pint just sounds, I'm thinking 10 pounds English, just a huge beer. But
yes,
if you're losing a third of your stuff to taxes there, I mean, you're talking about them keeping 3%, Brian. I mean, seriously, that sounds insane. But I remember hearing here in the US that breweries on beers that had to go out through a distributor, the average brewer kept like 8 cents for every dollar.
That's wild
of that. So, that is ridiculous to think that you make a product and you end up with 8% of it, distributor, and the bulk of it went to distributors. The bulk of the percentage was for the distributors, and then retailers got their piece of it, but the actual one making the product, it was super thin.
But the important thing about that is that's what goes out into the market. The stuff that they sold out of the tap room was much more profitable.
Yeah.
These guys don't have that. They don't have the stuff that comes out of our tap room. They don't have a tap room, so everything that they're selling is getting hit that way. So they don't have any anything that's going to offset that razor thin margin to help keep them going. So,
and I know their pubs, their laws are different than ours. Like I know breweries can own pubs and things like that. And I believe that actually some of the more popular pubs over there, if I'm not mistaken, are kind of a chain. I don't know if it's exactly like a chain, but they're company owned or whatever you want to call it. So
there's one over there that's really popular called Weatherspoons. It's people talk about a fair amount. I see a lot of people discussing it. Apparently, it's a really good, inexpensive place to get a pint and some food. They're having trouble getting by, and they're a significant chain with a lot of backing, and they've got volume to help them out.
Right.
That's on their side, but even they are having a problem.
Not cutting it, huh?
Yeah, it's really tough. I'm like, volume only gets you so far. You got to have the percentages. You got to have a little bit of margin. You got to let the businesses keep a little bit of the money, you know?
Yeah. Or you end up like this if you
Yeah.
can't keep enough of your money to open. So when you're
Yeah.
running razor thin margins and sales go down, it doesn't take them going down very much to kill it. So
Exactly. It's like the owners have to be able to pay themselves too, you know?
that's
Yeah.
crazy talk.
I
That's
know.
just
What am I
insane.
talking about? They shouldn't make any money off of this.
Right, right. It's for the community good. Well, Brian,
Exactly.
beer science, love beer science. This one's a little wild. I think we saw like maybe a tweet or something on this a couple of years ago. Not the first we've heard of it, but it's come back around with a little more information. But they're looking at the potential to use hops to boost the efficiency of sunscreen.
Yeah. So originally, I think what I was thinking about when I saw this was there was a TikTok trend about 3 years ago where people were beer tanning. They were just dumping beer on their skin and going out and sitting in the sun. And yeah, those people are all just nuts. And they were nearly on to something accidentally. Brazilian researchers have discovered that the waste from beer production, specifically spent hops, can be a game changer for skin protection. In the lab, adding hop extract to a standard water-based sunscreen formula significantly boosted the SPF from about 54 to 178, like over 3 times is strong. So the discovery specifically blocks UVB rays, which and I'm not a doctor here, I'm just quoting what they said in the article, which are the main culprits behind nasty sunburns and a major contributor to skin cancer. So hops against skin cancer is great. Even after brewing, it turns out that hops are still packed with antioxidants and bioactive compounds that have a natural UV damage protection element to them. In fact, used hops seem to actually outperform fresh hops for this task, which is even better, actually. This discovery comes at a good time. Apparently, recent reports show that many store-bought sunscreens aren't actually as strong as their labels claim. I haven't seen the reports of this, but it was referenced. I guess we're seeing an SPF shrinkflation as well, where they're selling these products, but they don't actually protect you as well as they say they do, which is a little scary. But so while the lab results are really impressive, I don't think we're going to be seeing an IPA sunscreen on shelves anytime soon. It needs a lot of testing. They will have to do some standardization because there's a lot of variability in the amount of protective compounds that can be found in spent hops. I assume there are hop varieties that will be better than others, but I'm only guessing with this. They're going to have to figure this all out before it actually becomes a product that you see on the shelf. Because again, it's got to be tested. They're going to have to put it on skin and make sure that this doesn't in some way hurt your skin with all the other compounds in a sunscreen. So a lot of testing to be done, but this is really cool because there is a lot of spent hops that we're not feeding those to animals. I don't think. I think those just get dumped. So spent hops could become the next sunscreen, and like, man, that could be amazing if it works out.
Now, Brian, the TikTok folks you're talking about from a few years ago, wouldn't what they were doing actually be like 180 from this? Like they were using it to tan and they were using beer instead of hops. So, but another beer hops on your skin and the sun relationship there. Just so maybe they can do it both ways. Do you want to get a tan or do you want to protect? Do you want beer or do you need hop residue here?
Yeah, that's a fair point. It was really, as I recall, it was all about getting a better quality tan than it was protecting your skin. I don't think it had anything to do with skin protection at all. But
they're just baking some caramel malts under their skin, I bet. Pour a little
pretty much,
Imperial Stout
and
on
attracting like biting flies probably with all the sugars from that. That was a really dumb idea.
Wild.
But that's just typical TikTok as far as I'm concerned. So
beef tallow is the thing these days that people are using. So
is it really?
Beef tallow is the skin. I think it's supposed to be a moisturizer, if I'm not mistaken. But that's whipped beef tallow as a skin conditioner, moisturizer, whatever. So
I bet they smell delicious too.
That's what I was thinking, man. I guess you can moisturize your skin and make some French fries as well.
When you said that, I'm like, I still haven't had those beef tallow French fries that some chain has been advertising, and I want to try them. So yeah,
crazy stuff, man. Wild. Well, Brian, the good news that I was talking about here, kind of a cool story to see. Maine Beer Company they're growing, man. It sounds like they're doing fairly well. They've got an expansion planned, and Popular Beer is kind of driving that for them.
Yeah, I saw this great news off of Brewbound. Want to give them a shout out because they do good work. But yeah, the sales of Maine Beer Company's Lunch IPA have grown so much that the brewery is running out of room. Reportedly, Lunch accounts for over 90% of Maine Beer Company's volume. I knew it was popular. I had no idea it was 90% of what they sell. To keep up with the demand in 2027, they're going to break ground on a new 11,000 square foot expansion. And they bought it. I say new, but it's actually new to them. It's used an 85 barrel brew house specifically to brew Lunch IPA. That will free up their existing 60 barrel system to brew their other brands. This expansion will have an impact on the availability of their beer very soon. They aren't leaving any markets, but they are going to be shipping a lot less beer for a while as they work through the expansion. And I guess part of that reason is they want to ensure the beer hitting shelves is still actually fresh. And these guys are very good about ensuring what hits the shelves is in great drinking condition. I've been impressed. Like they're all in bottles, and they drink better than a lot of the stuff on the shelves in cans. But once the dust settles, they'll have capacity to brew over 130,000 barrels a year. With all that growth, they've cracked the Brewers Association's top 50 list for the first time. They've jumped to number 46 from a previous position of 53. And in the course of reading about this, I found some other interesting tidbits about Maine Beer Company. Their biggest market is actually Massachusetts, not Maine, which is surprising. And they're still putting their beer, like I referenced the glass bottles, they're putting their beer in custom 50 milliliter glass bottles still to this day, while everybody else is doing cans. And they're probably
50 mil or 500. They're
500
liters,
mils.
right?
Sorry, 500 mil. Yeah. 50 liter? What would it? No. How does that translation go? Is there something between? No, there
500
isn't.
milliliter. That'd be a half liter. I think they're 500s because I remember they weren't. You've got your 22s, which is, I forget what 22 ounces is in milliliters. It's there's really, people just guess at that. There's not a formula to convert. No one knows. So like that skit on SNL. Well, what's that convert to? No, nobody. No way to know.
Nobody knows. It is. You're right. It is 500 milliliters. If I said 50, it's just me, misspeaking. But and perhaps the most telling tidbit of all with Maine Beer Company, they have twice as many people working in their quality control lab as they do on their entire sales team. Now that's a little bit misleading because I think their sales team is very small because they don't need a lot of sales people. I think it's like 3 people, but that means they've got like probably at least 6 people working on quality assurance with their beer.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive that they've dedicated that much. But you can tell if you get a bottle of Maine beer off the shelf, it's going to be good. I don't think I've ever gotten one off the shelf and been, oh man, this is terrible. Or it's old.
Even older ones don't. They hold up well. Yeah.
We had them on the show, and I think they were obsessed with dissolved oxygen in their beers, and you could tell like that's one of the big things they look for, and they've got an entire lab like we were saying, like checking all that stuff out. So
he was very in on his bottles, like even talking about the move to cans or anything. There wasn't even any consideration there. They were staying in their 500 ml bottles there for sure. So good stuff, man. And Brian, related to that one here on the local scene, I saw an article recently that Creature Comforts is going to pass 100,000 barrels soon. So they're growing, they're expanding. I think Chattanooga, they open up maybe like a beer garden location up there. The LA brewery did close, and I'm not sure with that. I heard from some people that were out that way that it wasn't a really good location and different things. It just had some challenges, but sometimes understanding things that don't work, and there's a saying, you got to learn to fail fast. If you just know it's not going to work.
True.
Don't hold on to it there and see what's going on. But they've got that. Their 12th anniversary was recently, so big thing there. And another one is they're expanding their spirits portfolio. And I actually saw a listing where they're looking for a distiller over in Athens, Georgia there. So that's another thing that they're growing there. So
I'm intrigued.
Good for them, man. Good for them.
They have an attention to quality, and if they get into distilling, I'm very interested in seeing what they come up with, because Yeah, I don't think that they're going to just accept any old thing. So I'm not saying that anybody else does, but they're pretty particular about these things. So
They
I'm
are.
intrigued to see what they come up with. But Tim, speaking of the beer cans, I do have a story about the aluminum can supply.
Oh my gosh, tell me. Tell me.
All right, so it's not a good story, but if you're looking
Oh,
for a
oh.
pallet of cans coming up, you better have a time machine because, according to Ball Corporation, they are officially sold out of their North American can supply for 2026, and they've already sold 90% of their can supply for 2027.
Wow.
And this isn't just a short-term issue. Even looking out to the end of the decade, half of their projected capacity is already spoken for. That's right, 50% of the beer cans that they produce through 2030 are spoken for. So Ball's factories aren't sitting idle either. They're producing at 95% capacity right now, or even a little higher. And there's basically no wiggle room in the system right now. They do have a brand new facility opening in the Pacific Northwest later this year, but that capacity is basically already spoken for, from what they say. So they've opened it up knowing where all those cans are going. So that's interesting. They also intend to build another plant in North Carolina before the end of the decade, but they're saying they're going to do that when, quote, it's appropriate. So it sounds like now would be appropriate, but if I'm seeing a pattern here where they're not going to build it until they've already sold all the cans. I think that's how that works, and that probably works out really well for them. But it's tough if you need cans and you're not a big guy that already has a contract with them. But if it's true that inflation and other economic concerns are driving increasing numbers of people to start drinking at home, this is only going to make the can supply tighter. And I'm going to say, I for one would be happy to drink beers out of bottles again, or more beers out of bottles. I already drink some beer out of a bottle, and I'm happy to do so. Guys, we can go back to bottles. Glass bottles are fine,
Yeah. Overall, I wouldn't want to see the switch back to just bottles. I do like the convenience of cans. That's for sure.
They're nice,
But
yeah.
like you and I had talked about, especially for certain beers, I got an email today that the brewery's Tart of Darkness is returning.
Oh,
I want that in the 750. You know what?
Heck
I want
yeah.
a big bottle. I want to sit down with a couple of friends. I want to crack it open, pour it into our fancy little snifters, and just really enjoy it. And a story we've told a couple of times, Brian, when we went to a nice steakhouse here in Atlanta and we had a bottle of beer with us, and we asked them, "Hey, do you allow corkage here?" They're like, "Yeah, absolutely." So we bring it in, and they're like, "Can we get you a bucket of ice?" We're like, "You know what? Yes,
you
yes, you can." And they're like, "What kind of glasses do you need, red or white?" And we're like, "Oh, no, you misunderstood
Brown.
us here. Right, brown. Bring us your brown glassware." So I think we kind of joked, as like, actually, I think a red glass would be better.
I think so, yeah, for that, yeah.
But something like that. More places should do that, man. More people should take a nice bottle of beer out to their steak dinner. Get you something that pairs well with a steak. And it was the Founders one. Frangelico, or was it the Frangelic Mountain Brown?
Frangelic Mountain Brown, I think is the one we took. Yeah,
and it went very nice with a fancy steak dinner. It was a good call.
It was lovely. Yeah, I love that beer. That deserved more love than it got.
It did.
Yeah, I guess it was tough to produce, but you know what? To follow just a small little bit about the Ball Corp thing, I had to Google because they're talking about how much they're selling. And I'm like, is that really the entire market? So I said, what percentage of North American market does Ball Corp really have? And it's hard to find a good answer when you're Googling it around, but I found a website called BCG Matrix, and it says they have 42% of the North and Central American market. So that's not quite exactly the right answer, but it tells me that their numbers look tough. They're very tight, but there are other suppliers out there. So this is bad news if you want to go through the main channel of getting aluminum cans, but there are other options out there. So that is the one silver lining to this whole thing. It's like there are other people out there that may have some availability.
I have heard over the years about the challenges with aluminum and aluminum cans, and I believe at one time that they said the U.S. really just didn't have enough aluminum. They didn't have enough of natural resources to produce the volume of aluminum that they use there. And, of course, now we're in the difficult period with the tariffs and that. So they're expensive if you get them outside of the country. So who would have thought that old beverage cans would have so much drama around them there?
Yeah, we've seen stuff even before the the tariffs and things like where everybody's competing for different beverage cans. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the big guys are doing it, the little guys are doing it, like Kraft is doing it, everybody's getting into it. Like, it was kind of a little bit predictable that at some point there's going to be a little bit of a collision here. I don't think anybody saw it being a horrible thing, but yeah, it's crazy.
Wild.
Yeah,
As the beer can turns, Brian.
exactly.
Good stuff. Well, y'all, that does wrap it up for our show this week. As always, we really appreciate you hanging out with us. If you enjoy what we're doing here, we'd love you to tell a friend to tune into the show. You know what? Follow us on the show socials. Brian is still active on Twitter. I don't know how popular that one is, but he's, there's a good beer following on Twitter there. So if you're also a Twitter user, go out there and follow Beer Guys Radio. Brian keeps that up pretty good there. So we definitely appreciate if you enjoy us a good bit to go to patreon.com/beerguys. For just a small amount, you can get some cool stuff like some Beer Guys Radio swag, and we'll get you in our Discord server and invite you to our after party to hang out and have some beers. But with all of that said, we do hope that you have a really, really good week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers.